All right. So let's start things off. Can you please introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your background?
Okay. My name is Giovanni Gonzalez. My background, I grew up in Florida, went to college after high school. I played sports all throughout growing up. I went to college for football. My freshman year, I transferred to a school in California. I got injured while I was playing out there, and then after that, I joined the military. And then that's where I met this man here, Daniel Monke. Did a nice few years in the military. Then after that, I got out, got married. Yeah. And now I live in Houston, Texas.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
So
little
can
rundown.
you describe a really extraordinary experience from your life? Something that you can really look back and say, "Wow, that was awesome."
Okay, so the first day I left for college, it was kind of like one of those experiences. I think like it was like, wow, this. I had lived most of my life in one place, didn't really go a lot of places. So when I finally, got to go to college, someplace out of the state, out of my comfort zone, out of the area that I had grown up in, I really like enamored with the whole situation. Something I don't think I'll ever forget. It didn't start off great either. I got in a fight with my brother before I left, but then after that, being in like a different area like Chicago, you get surprised by a lot. So that's one moment that.
So would you say that was the most memorable moment of that experience? Is the fight with your
Yeah.
brother right there?
Well, that I think it was a bunch of different things. Even when I got there, like it wasn't like warm like I'm used to, like in Florida. Like it was colder. The air was different. The smell was different. The people were different. And knowing that like, hey, I'm gonna be living here for the next foreseeable future. By myself is like one of those moments where it's like, okay, yeah. I remember it was the first time I ever been like my own. You know.
And looking back at that moment, how did that change your perspective on life at that moment?
I think that was one of those kind of like nexus points for like I guess your development as an adult because that was like my first moment of being quote unquote an adult.
And what would you say was the biggest challenge at that time?
Oh, the adjustment for sure. First and foremost, you're going from Eastern Standard Time to Central Standard Time, and then the climate, just the weather are two weather climates in general. You have Chicago, which yeah, it gets hot, but let's be honest, it's more cold than it is hot. And I grew up in an area where 70 degrees is cold.
Yeah.
So there's that adjustment, and then on top of that, the cultural adjustment as well. Like, granted, there's Puerto Ricans out in Chicago as well, but like how those Puerto Ricans act are way different than how Floridian Puerto Ricans act.
Yep.
So having to deal with that as well as figuring out who I am as a person by myself, because let's be honest, I've been around my parents, around my family, my friends, like the past 18 years of my life. Now I'm figuring out who I am as a person by myself, meeting new people. Everybody that I'm meeting is for the first time new and having to build relationships off of that. So, and then on top of that, just living in my own spot with another person. It's the first time I ever lived with a roommate. You know what I mean? So having to figure out, how that dynamic works
Mhm.
and, not knowing the person that you're rooming with and having to build a relationship with them.
Looking back, what were you able to do to actually overcome that?
Okay, so I think it has a mixture of things. One, it has to do with I think my personality. First and foremost, when it comes to meeting new people, my personality, I tend to be a little bit more of the social butterfly. You know
Very
what I mean?
friendly.
Yeah, and especially in that environment where everybody's new, nobody knows each other and everything like that. I consider myself like a pretty funny person. That kind of was able to help me break the ice and everything like that with meeting new people and everything like that,
Yeah, you
as
always
well as
make jokes. You're hey
yeah.
that you should yeah.
It also helped as well that I was on the football team too as well, so there was that bit of a a leeway.
Popularity. You're already popular because you're on the football team.
That as well. And it's yeah, it is crazy to say like yeah, me being on the football team, but it is the truth. Like people there at that school know you're there for football, so like it kind of comes with its own thing. So yeah, it does kind of pad in the anxiety, meeting new people because you already kind of come in with a leg up, knowing guys on the football team. You have that summer because guys that play football they show up to school earlier than everybody else. So like you have like a good like month and a half, 2 months to really learn some of the guys on your team before you end up meeting some of the people, at your school on the first day. So there's that. And then on top of that, my roommate was a really cool guy. So we got along really well. And then on top of that, a lot of the people that I met there were able to help me kind of settle in as well. Being from that school, being in that area, you do meet a lot of people that are from that Chicago area. So I was able to meet people, able to get that experience of, hey, I'm new here, show me around kind of thing. And then, able to use that to like create other relationships that made it easier for me to grow in that environment.
I know after that you joined the military. That's where we met. I know that you have grown a lot after that. How would you say that that experience that you mentioned before impacted both your personal and professional life in your future to what you are now?
Now is actually the perfect example of it. So right now I'm in school, obviously, like about to finish here within the next year. So what I'm going to school for requires some sort of ability to be able to network. So you have to meet people. You have to meet you have to meet new people in the environment. You have to be able to work your way in the environment and be able to kind of have these interactions and be able to build relationships within this field that I'm going for, because all of it is based off of relationships. All of it's based off of who you know. And on top of that, your ability to navigate within those people that are within that industry. So being in that environment, having to meet new people, having to kind of like make that first impression with so many people and try to, sway people to like you and to be a person that they want to see again, that kind of thing. That very much helped me utilize like my personality and my intellectual / business savviness to be able to like kind of marry those two together and create a certain personality that I have now when it comes to dealing with those kind of situations, whether I'm dealing with mock business simulations or, just meeting people that are in the same environment as me, because me being, a boxer, you meet a lot of people in that environment, and me being, wanted to be in that realm and, eventually one day have my own promotional company, you meet a lot of people from the fighter to the coach, to the business, to the entrepreneur that's, helping build that fight. So being able to build those relationships is kind of essential.
One last question. I know you touched on this a little bit before, but I want you to explain a little bit more and also shout out yourself on this. You can shout out your platforms and everything. How do you plan to use what you learned in the future?
Starting with the ability to be able to, network and everything like that, I use that ability to be able to, grow in my field. I already started a YouTube channel. That's one of the first things that I did. Once I made the decision that this is what I was going to do, I made a YouTube channel. I started doing basically sports commentary, specifically in boxing. As the channel grows, it'll grow more into like sports in general. So I have the YouTube channel. I box as well. I also know people within the industry that are slowly but surely helping me get more into that industry as far as the business side goes. And then on top of that, obviously, I'm in school for sports media and marketing. And then, whatever little time that I have, I'm always studying different sports, personalities online that talk about sports to kind of pick up certain nuances and learn like different styles and the best way to approach this industry that I'm in. Because whether or not I start off with my own promotional company or I start off with commentary or just regular sports journalism or anything like that, I want my hand to be in so many different things within the realm. So that way, whichever one kicks off first, I'm able to use the other one to facilitate, the other venture that I'm in. And I want to be able to grow within that field to the point where I'm not just my own promotional company, or I'm not just a commentator, or I'm not just a sports journalist.
Yeah, not putting all your eggs in one basket, basically.
Exactly. I'm everything. I can do whichever, whenever, no matter what, and whether it be working for ESPN or Fox Sports or Barstool or whatever one of those big name sports agencies is, I want to be able to have my own thing. And then as far as my platforms go, you can subscribe to me on YouTube. That would be MF Sports. Right, on YouTube, that'd be Master Flex. It's your boy right here. Make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube and then follow me on all my other socials. It's also Master Flex as well. So yeah.
Boom. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Giovanni. I love this interview. You did great. 10 out of 10. And yeah, let's roll it.